Hey everyone, it's Peek. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another very important Pokemon Unite video. How do you use your super item enhancers? If you guys didn't know, super held item enhancer thingamajigs were added to the game. They're super awesome. As you can see here, they change a single held item instantly to level 30. And the great thing about these things is that, for example, if you go here and, I have a level 24 muscle band, right? If I go to my item box, if I use a super item enhancer on it, I get the full refund amount of item enhancers that I actually used on that item after upgrading it to level 30, which means I can use those 1087 item enhancers on other stuff that I want to level, such as like a scope lens or, a Razer Claw in my case I'm planning on leveling. So it's really important that you kind of know how those work. So that's basically how they work. You can get a refund for items you've already leveled up to, even up to like level 29. You can get a full refund of the item enhancers that you've used. What are the best items to use these on? That's why you came to this video. That's what you want to know. You don't want to waste your item enhancers because item enhancers are probably the most important resource in this game. And I want to make sure that you guys are, getting off on the right foot with the game, right? Especially if you're a new player, you only have 3 of these to use, and you want to make sure you have a core set of items that, can be used across all Pokemon. Or if you want to play a specific role, you may want to upgrade more specific items for that role. So let's hop over to my favorite website, UniteDB. They have now updated their website with all the new information on all the hidden mechanics for these items. So I want to go over the 3 new items, Razer Claw, Weakness Policy, and Choice Specs, talk about them real quick, and let you guys know whether or not they're worth upgrading, and what items you should be using your super item enhancers, and the rest of the item enhancers that we are very generously being given from different events that are going on right now on. So, anyway, we are going to first talk about Choice Specs. That is the first new item on this list, so let's just hop into it. So Choice Specs, it says, when dealing damage with a move, deal additional damage by a minimum of 40/50/60. And again, these different tiered upgrades of the passive depend on whether the item is level 1, level 10, and level 20. Level 20 is the last breakpoint for items in this game where you get a actual benefit to the passive. After that, it's just the raw stats. You can see here, special attack plus 39. That's the only thing that's going to upgrade past level 20. So that's kind of how items work in this game. It's a percentage of your special attack stat when it hits. This extra damage only applies to one target. So if you're using an AoE move like Future Sight on Gardevoir or Psyshock, this damage increase will only apply to one enemy that's hit by the AoE. So it really, it's a very niche item. I don't think it's that great, unfortunately. There have been some calculations in the math cord, shoutouts to them, of course, the math Discord for Pokemon Unite, and a lot of people are saying that in the end, 2 auto attacks with Muscle Band, even on a special attacker, end up being about the same amount of damage increase that you get from Choice Specs. And as you can see here, Choice Specs is an 8-second cooldown, which is very, very painful. So do I recommend leveling this item? Potentially. If you really just want to go for an absolute nuke build, Choice Specs seems to be scaling the most with special attackers, even compared to like Wise Glasses or special attack specs. It seems to be making the most impact on special attack damage moves. So if that's really important to you, if you just want to go a full damage build with like Choice Specs, Wise Glasses, and Shell Belt special attack specs, then go for it. No one's stopping you. Do I necessarily think those are the best items to go on special attackers? Probably not, because a lot of the benefit and strength of special attackers in this game, like Gardevoir, Cramorant, even Venusaur, Pokemon like that, it really just comes down to being able to support your team with stuns, with big damage, and a lot of time on those characters, staying alive is more important than like having, just a little bit of extra damage on your abilities. But I will kind of talk about what my recommendations are later in the video. Let's move on to Razer Claw. By far the best item added in this update, and probably one of the top 5 or top 6 items in the game now. Razer Claw is very, very strong. It gives a little bit of crit rate, not very much. So you'll notice, and in fact, let me just take a break real quick. I will show you the scaling for this item so you kind of know how it upgrades. Okay, so our good friend at Cerebi.net, Joe, has updated every single level scaling for this item. So we're able to see at level 20, you only get 10 attack and 1.6 crit rate, whereas all the way up to level 30, you're only getting 5 more attack and 0.6% more crit rate on Razer Claw. Is it worth it for 5 attack and 0.6 crit rate to level this up to 30? I mean, if it's a core item that you want to use on like almost all the Pokemon you play, sure, maybe. But it's really expensive to upgrade it that far, only to get such a very, very small difference in base stats. You'd be much more better off upgrading an item like Scope Lens to level 30, where you're getting actually 2% crit rate and I believe, yeah, 4% crit damage off of that upgrade from 20 to 30. So, of course, it's up to you. But anyway, let's talk about Razer Claw now that we've talked about its base stats. The passive is very, very strong, and it's on a low cooldown, so it can proc pretty much every time you use a move. After the Pokemon uses a move, its next basic attack deals a minimum of 10/15/20 plus 40 to 45 to 50% of your attack stat as additional damage. While this item is being held by a melee Pokemon, this basic attack also slows enemies for 2 seconds on a 2-second cooldown, of course. So if you actually go here, let's just hop back over to the game real quick and kind of show you guys. You can tell which Pokemon counts as a melee Pokemon just by up here. You see where I'm tapping right here where it says ranged? That is where, oh, we don't want to look at the skins. That is where that kind of comes into play. So a character like Blissey is a melee attacker. You can see up here. But a character like Gardevoir is ranged. And a character like Crustle is melee. So they will get this benefit from Razer Claw's melee passive. But any character, regardless of whether they're ranged or melee, will get the full benefit of this other passive where it just does additional damage with your next basic attack, which is very, very strong, and it's the best part of this item by far. The melee slow is definitely good for Pokemon like, I think maybe Garchomp definitely wants to go this item now, like a Scope Lens, Razer Claw, Muscle Band, just full attack build. So Razer Claw is really good. In my opinion, it's definitely the best item in this update by far, and I will probably be leveling it to 30, maybe 20. Weakness Policy is the last new item added into the game. Upon taking damage, apply a short 2 to 2.5 to 3% attack buff for a short time. Stacks up to 4 times. So at level 20, of course, this could go all the way up until 12% of your attack, which is actually pretty substantial if you think about it. It's quite powerful. However, the thing is, basically what we're seeing is that the stacks disappear in 2 seconds, and they all disappear at once. So if you stacked up to 4 times, you've been attacked 4 times, you have 4 stacks of Weakness Policy. If 2 seconds go by without you being attacked, you lose all your stacks. So it's very, very niche, I think, and it's really situational a lot of the times. I mean, you don't want to be being attacked 4 times unless you're like a tank going like like Flail Snorlax, right? I mean, this item has potential on Snorlax going Flail. But for most Pokemon, including like Garchomp, I know a lot of people saw this initially and are like, hey, this could possibly be really good on Garchomp. I think Razer Claw and just a crit build is so much better than this, because really you're not like constantly getting value out of Weakness Policy. And while it can give you a decent boost in attack at like big moments in the match when you're being attacked, you have items like Buddy Barrier that are so much more impactful during those big moments in a match that you would, I mean, if you were going to take Weakness Policy, you're better off just taking Buddy Barrier. It's a much more impactful clutch item than Weakness Policy is an impactful clutch item. Same thing with Focus Band. If you're looking for an item that performs in a very specific situation very powerfully, Focus Band is going to be your go-to rather than Weakness Policy. I just don't think this item's strong enough right now. I think if they increase the attack scaling to be like extremely powerful, kind of similar to Weakness Policy in the main series games, because I mean, if you go Weakness Policy Colossal and you just stack that thing up with Steam Engine, that thing just rolls, right? That's kind of what I would like to see changed about Weakness Policy, just an increase in the percentage attack scaling, because it obviously it requires you to take damage. That is a very risk reward type of situation, and I think the reward is just not enough, frankly. So what items do I recommend you use your super item enhancers on? Let's kind of talk about that. Let's go over it, and I will discuss what you should be thinking about when you're kind of deciding what to use them on, because again, you only have 3 and you want to use them wisely. You want to have versatility. If you are the type of player that likes to play all sorts of Pokemon, that likes to swap roles all the time, that just likes to try everything out, I highly, highly, highly recommend leveling these 4: Buddy Barrier, Focus Band, Muscle Band, and Score Shield. These are the items that can be used on pretty much every Pokemon in the game. Not pretty much. They can be used on every single Pokemon in the game and perform extremely well. They make a high impact, they are very powerful, and they have also solid base stats. You can see Focus Band has very high defenses. Muscle Band actually has percentage attack speed, which I'll get into later. Score Shield has HP, and Buddy Barrier has HP. You can't go wrong with having like a bigger HP pool early in the match. It's very, very powerful for winning trades and stuff like that. So those are the 4 items that I recommend. Focus Band, Score Shield, Muscle Band, Buddy Barrier. If you are the type of player, of course, who plays just a ton of different Pokemon and wants versatility in your items that you can use on anything, level those 4 items. It's kind of up to you between Muscle Band and Score Shield what you want to go, but I highly recommend Buddy Barrier and Focus Band for pretty much every Pokemon. You can definitely have benefit and use out of these items on those Pokemon. So, if you are a player that really values attackers, or like physical attackers, then I actually am going to recommend Scope Lens to you as another consideration for an item to level, as well as Razer Claw. These 2 items are incredibly powerful and incredibly synergistic now that Razer Claw is in the game. As you can see, they both give crit rate. They're the only items that give critical hit rate. And the thing about critical hit rate is it's very difficult to come by. At max, at level 9 for most attackers, you have 20% crit rate. And that changes depending on your level. You actually start with 0% crit rate up until level 5 on Greninja, at which point you will get 10% crit rate. And then, of course, like I said, at level 9, you'll get 20% crit rate. So Scope Lens is actually probably one of the best items to invest in all the way up to level 30. Because as crit rate is just, you know, it's you start at 0 and there's only a specific amount you can get. It does not scale higher after level 9. It's just an incredibly value-driven stat, right? So I do recommend, if you're going to run Scope Lens on any of your Pokemon, use a super item enhancer to level this to 30. It is by far the item out of all these items that gets the most benefit out of being level 30. So I definitely recommend you do that. I personally will be leveling my Scope Lens to 30. In fact, let me just show you that I'm going to level that up to 30 right now by using one of my own super item enhancers on Scope Lens. We are going to take this. We are going to use it on, let's turn the sound on. Upgrade this item to grade 30. Yes, you will get returned 212 item enhancers. Fantastic. We'll hit OK. And now our Scope Lens is level 30. Very, very strong item. I'm very excited to try out this item, in fact, and just kind of showcase it here for you guys. I think Scope Lens is, you know, by far the best item to invest all the way up to level 30. Oh, I see it's at the top here. So you see now I have 6% critical hit rate, 12% critical hit damage. It's just a crazy item. It's just a crazy item to have at level 30. And I think running it under level 30 actually really hurts you, because, you know, those raw stats are probably more important than any other raw stat in the game. The next item that I really want to talk about for leveling up to 30 as an attacker player is Muscle Band. So this kind of goes with my similar theme of Scope Lens. As you can see here, an item that has percentage amounts on its base stats, such as critical hit damage and attack speed for Muscle Band, really, really benefits from being maxed out to level 30. And why is that? Well, basically, at level 20, Muscle Band is just, let's see, it's 5%, right? It's just 5% attack speed, which is pretty good, right? It's pretty good. But 2.5% extra attack speed at level 30 actually makes a decent chunk of difference. It can really make the difference between you winning a fight and you losing a fight. So basically, if you think about it this way, percentage scaling is always going to be more valuable to you on your held items than anything else. Like these base stats of like +5 attack, +120 speed, you know, +42 defense. These defenses, like, they're impactful, but they don't make as big of a difference as a percentage stat. Because if you take a big number and you add a percentage to it, it scales up even further. But if you take a big number and add 15 to it, it really doesn't make a big difference, right? So that's kind of the logic behind this, and that's why Muscle Band should definitely, if you're an attacker player, a physical attacker player, or even just a special attacker player in general, Muscle Band really works on pretty much all Pokemon, even tanks. This is just a very good item for doing a little bit of extra damage early as well as late. It scales really well. It's very impactful throughout the whole game. You're always auto attacking, when your abilities are on cooldown, you're always auto-attacking in this game. It's just part of the game. So very, very recommend this muscle band as the second item for you to level up. And here's the question, right? Do I recommend Razer Claw up to 30? Because I just mentioned, right, that like, you know, percentage scaling is very important. But I think when you're looking at, like I said, a difference of 0.6% critical hit rate and 5 attack on Razer Claw on level 20 versus 30, it's really, I don't know, it's here, let me just zoom out so you can kind of see this a little bit better. It's hard to justify going from 1.6% crit rate to 2.1% at level 30. Unless, of course, as I said, if you are fully committed to Razer Claw, if you think this is your new favorite item, you're going to run this on every Pokemon, go ahead and level to 30 for sure. That is what you're going to get the most benefit out of. Moving on, lastly, to special attackers. This is of course, a unique role. And the thing about the other roles like defender and support, the base items that I recommended, like Buddy Barrier, Focus Band, Score Shield, Muscle Band, these will all work for defenders and support. So if you play those types of characters, don't worry. I mean, this video is basically over for you. You don't have to worry about the special attackers. But if you really enjoy, you know, special attackers like Gardevoir, Mr. Mime, Gengar, characters like that, that do special attack damage, and you want to further increase your nuke potential, I'm going to give you some things to think about. And you do with this information what you will. I will, of course, recommend what I think, but, of course, everyone has only a certain amount of these super item enhancers to use, and you want to use them correctly, of course. So, special attackers really don't benefit a lot from special attack boosting items. As I mentioned before, choice specs compared to Muscle Band, if you just auto attack twice with Muscle Band, it's kind of the same amount of damage increase that you're getting from choice specs, according to the math Discord for Unite. So the difference here is you want to start looking at, of course, like I mentioned before, percentage scaling things as level 30 items, because a level 20 choice specs is going to do you just fine. The extra like 15 or so special attack really doesn't make a difference. And let me just put your worries at ease. Like, oh no, I want the most special attack possible. Let me show you how much special attack Gardevoir has at level 15. Gardevoir has 1001 special attack. So if you think about an extra like 15 or so special attack from choice specs going from level 20 to level 30, how much difference is that gonna make? Pretty much zero. So instead, I know this is going to be controversial, and I know I've said Shell Bell is kind of trash in the past, but if you really want to level a fun build and have the most value out of your super item enhancers, I actually recommend a percentage scaling item like Energy Amp or Shell Bell. These are the only two other percentage scaling items other than, no, I think that's it actually, right? Yeah. These are the only two other items in the game that have percentage scaling. Energy Amp scales up with your Unite Move recharge rate, which is, of course, really just good on any Pokemon, and cooldown reduction as you level it up. Shell Bell also has the same thing. Of course, it has flat special attack, which I already mentioned with choice specs is useless. However, you do get 4.5% cooldown reduction at level 30. These stats are just really valuable. Like I mentioned before, a percentage stat is always going to be better than a flat stat increase, basically for the entire span of the game. Of course, those flat stats right as you start the match at like level 1 are going to make a slight difference, but really it's not that big of a deal. So, I know it's a little bit crazy, and I know it kind of goes against what I've said in the past, but Shell Bell at level 30 is not a bad item. Energy Amp at level 30 is not a bad item. If you like to run special attackers, consider the fact that these two items combined will be 9% cooldown reduction. If you have an ability that you use on one of your special attackers or anything like that, if you look at Gardevoir's cooldowns, right? Future Sight is a 9-second cooldown. Psyshock is an 11-second cooldown. Basically, 9% cooldown reduction is going to take about 1 second, like 0.8, off of these cooldowns, right? And that is a decent amount of time that you're actually saving. Like in a fight, 0.8 to 1 second, like 0.8 seconds to 1 second actually can make a huge difference. If you're able to get that Future Sight off, to last hit the Zap, to get the Secure on the Dreadnought, to get the last hit on an enemy, it can make a huge difference, right? So consider that when you're thinking about, hey, I'm a special attacker player, I like to play Gardevoir, I like to play Mr. Mime, by having your abilities more often, you can actually probably do more damage than just if you would, you know, run choice specs or something like that. Obviously, you'll lose out on a little bit of burst, but in a sustained fight like this, maybe having your cooldown a second earlier could actually really benefit you, right? So these are the things you need to keep in mind when considering what to level up to 30 with your super item enhancers. Otherwise, I recommend just leveling most items to level 20. I think the only items you really get huge benefits out of level 30 are Buddy Barrier, because the HP difference is plus 200, and even though, again, I said it's a flat stat, 200 HP is definitely a lot early and in the mid game, so this can make a huge difference, and of course synergizes very well with the passive. That's just more HP for that Buddy Barrier shield. Muscle Band being the other one, Scope Lens being another one, and Energy Amp and Shell Bell. These are the items that scale the best with level 30 in my opinion. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments what you decided to use your super item enhancers on. I personally am probably going to use mine on Scope Lens, Muscle Band, and then I might just save the other one because I'm not quite sure if I want to actually run Shell Bell up to 30 just for the memes, or maybe just Energy Amp. We'll see. I don't know what I'm going to use it on, but personally, these are the two I'm going to use on first. Of course, you already saw me use it on Scope Lens, and I'm planning to use on Muscle Band so I can kind of siphon off those other, those refund tokens, basically, that I got, right, from my super and item enhancer to other items. Since I already have my Muscle Band at 24, I'll get the full refund, and, you know, I'll be able to level, you know, Razer Claw to 20 or Choice Specs to 20, stuff like that. So that's kind of my plan. Let me know what you guys are going to do. I hope this video was helpful for you. I tried to explain this as honestly as possible. Sorry if it was a bit long, but these are just things that you need to consider when making these very important decisions, because my guess is we're probably not going to get any of these super item enhancers again for a long time, or possibly ever. I think it was very generous of the devs to give us three free level 30 items, but I wouldn't count on seeing more of these in the future, at least for now. Of course, if that happens, if we see some coming, then I will of course let you know on the channel, which reminds me, stay subscribed to the channel. If you're into Unite, if you're just joining the game for the first time, or if you're a veteran player from the Switch version, so consider subscribing. You can always unsubscribe later if you lose interest in the game or lose interest in me. That's what I always say. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you so much watching. I hope it was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.